It's review time, and you're going to want to catch everything thrown your way and then take it to the house. Cool off and show us all your best moves, as you are going to want to celebrate all that is the fall season. Sports Night is next.
Hello everyone, welcome to Sports Night. I'm Joe Young.
And I'm Howie Shapiro. It's that time of year. It's review time for the fall sports season.
Yeah, the fall sports season at Coon Rapids is over. The winter season has already begun. The girls hockey team with a pair of games in their back pocket already. 1-1, 2 overtime thrillers. They have game 3 tonight at the Ice Forum. Our friends from QCTV are covering it, and we will air it later here on CTN.
Should be a fun one.
It was a fun fall season, and it wasn't quite done the last time we sat on the set. Peyton Martinick, senior captain for the cross-country squad, qualified for state, and he had a good run at the AAA meet, finishing 125th with a time of 17 minutes and 22 seconds. Not quite the same pace he had at sections, but that's the meet you always want to finish your season at, and he was able to do that.
And hats off to Peyton, too, for a good season.
Yeah, a great way for him to cap off really what has been an impressive career, and a great way to finish a solid season for his Cardinals team. Both boys and girls cross-country teams stepped up their games by dropping their times all season long. And while the boys will lose a couple of great leaders, both programs have a lot of athletes showing huge potential for the future. The season played out like many would have guessed for both of these Cardinal programs. The boys team had more experience, while the girls team had a lot of talent coming from the lower grade levels. Both had exactly what they needed to take the Cardinals to the next level.
Cardinals on 3! 1, 2, 3, Cardinals!
At the top of the roster for the boys, a couple of names that have been on their leaderboard for a long time. Peyton Martinick and Aaron Casey have both been on the team since middle school, and they finished 1-2 for the Cardinals in almost every meet. Both were all conferences seniors, and Martinick finished his career at the state meet. They will be missed, but the rest of the section roster for the boys consisted of 4 sophomores and 1 junior, so they hope the program can continue its pace. Both teams improved their positions in the conference meet, with the boys finishing 9th and the girls in 10th. The sections, the boys improved from 8th place last year to a 5th place finish this season. And while the girls stayed in 8th place, their average time in the section meet improved by almost 17 seconds. And there's every reason to believe the girls will continue to improve for the next several seasons. 8th grader Ruby Demmer was the team's leader in nearly every meet, and 9th grader Stella Bone was never far behind. They were both all-conference, finishing 16th and 19th in the Northwest Suburban meet. Demmer was 16th again at sections, and Bone finished 31st. The rest of the section roster included another freshman, 2 sophomores, just 1 junior, and 1 senior. So the sky really is the limit for this Cardinal group. It should be fun to see the strides they take each season as they carry this team back into contention. Only a couple of senior girls, Sophia Greiner and Ash Cocciarello, one of the best names going. We're losing a couple of great names this fall season. One of my favorite coming up right at the end of the show. Peyton Martinick and Aaron Casey, we talked about. Nate Borns, Kevin Che, and Orion Carter also graduating from the program. But good strides, and really all season long, seeing those times come down. Always fun to read Coach Green's blog, and he took great pride in how they finished at the end of the year.
Yeah, it's always really nice to see some of the younger athletes stepping up, because not only does it give them an opportunity to improve their times for this year, but it gives you an opportunity to see what you have for the years to come. And both boys and girls cross-country teams have a lot of good young athletes that will continue this program forward.
Yeah, and the same could be said for the swimming and diving team. They were the other ones that were still in action. They had their section meet just this past week from Thursday to Friday, or Thursday to Saturday, over at the Northdale Middle School pool. They bumped up to 7th place. All 3 relay teams qualifying for the finals a 6th place finish in the 200 free, 7th place for 200 medley and the 400 free. Michaela D'Souza and Laura McCarr both had solid meets. They finished 10th and 11th in the 100 freestyle. Lillian Defoe was 11th place in the 100 backstroke. Juncosa and Smith Jeanette finishing 12th and 14th off the diving board.
Well, even without a state qualifier, this was a strong season for the Cardinals, and they have a lot to look forward to in the future. They only had a handful of seniors, and they did a great job of passing the baton to an impressive group of young athletes. The Cardinals should be in good hands for years to come.
The Cardinals were realistic from the start. After losing a strong senior class last year and the best swimmer in program history the year before that, they just didn't have the depth to be truly competitive. The 4 seniors led the way from the very start, but they didn't have to carry the team alone. The Cardinals were getting points from every grade level down to middle school, and everyone was committed to getting better. They didn't get to celebrate many team victories, but they had plenty of individual success along the way. The Cardinals' times were falling and their scores were climbing, and most importantly, their confidence was growing. It seemed nearly everyone peaked at their right time as well. They put in their fastest times at the end of the year, and it helped them take first place in the tri-meet to finish 11th in the conference tournament. The Cardinals seniors led the way at sections. Senior captain Laura McCarr and Michaela D'Souza each qualified for finals in 2 individual events and 2 relays. 8th grade diver Delilah Smith Jeanette and freshman Lillian Defoe also contributed to the Cardinals' 7th place finish in 7AA. So while the seniors will be missed, they're leaving the program in good hands.
And there are your seniors: Michaela D'Souza, Ava Weber, Kennedy Martinson, and Lucy Juncosa. And some very nice young athletes, too. And there should be one more, because Eleanor Defoe is also a senior.
Yeah.
I missed her on there. She's the 3rd senior captain. She was part of one of those relay teams. But Coach Nodelson in his email talked about how fun watching the 400 relay swim was and how hard they had worked and how much improvement he saw from them. That group, all underclass.
Yeah,
so
I always look forward to reading Coach Donaldson's emails because he's so descriptive and he's so upbeat and just loves what he does, and he loves these squads that he coaches.
Well, we love all the Cardinal squads, but a lot of fun watching the football team this year.
Oh my gosh, yes.
They were just so much fun to watch, so many memorable moments every single game. They were led by one of the best receivers in the state, but he had plenty of help. Cardinals were dangerous on offense, defense, and special teams, so every snap had big play potential right to the very end. Game 1 featured a ton of excitement. The defense had 3 stops in goal-to-go situations and forced 3 turnovers. The Cardinals blocked a punt, a field goal, and an extra point, and they recovered an onside kick. And if that wasn't enough, Kyjon Cummings-Coleman had 3 second-half touchdowns as the Cardinals scored 21 unanswered to win by a single point.
Touchdown, Cardinal!
Game 2, the Cardinals came from behind again, but lost a heartbreaker in overtime. And then in Game 3, the defense forced 3 more turnovers and had several holds deep in their own end. And after a well-executed hook and ladder got Buffalo within 7, the first half ended with an electrifying kick return by C-Squared.
5 by Cummings-Coleman. Cummings-Coleman trying to make something happen. One man to beat. He gets around the corner and down the sidelines. He could go all the way, and he does! Touchdown, Cardinals! Oh, my gosh.
The Cardinals lost their next 3, but that doesn't mean there weren't memorable moments. Cardinals had back-to-back onside recoveries against Elk River. Cummings-Coleman had a 65-yard touchdown run on the first play of the game against Rogers. And against Andover, the Cardinals needed just 3 plays to score on their opening possession.
He got lost by the defender, and he's in for the score. Touchdown, Cardinals!
They closed out the regular season with back-to-back blowout victories on the road. Jared Fearing ran for 150 yards and a score against Cambridge Isani, and Dominic Ullman had 3 receiving touchdowns in a 56-20 win. And then in the finale, the defense had 6 interceptions. 3 of them returned for touchdowns as they shut out St. Cloud Apollo in a 62-0 victory.
Ness to the end zone. Touchdown, Cardinals.
The Cardinals had leads of 7-0 and 13-10 in the playoff game, but came up just short against Prior Lake, 20-13. Cummings Coleman finished 5th in the state in receiving yards with 973 and 7th in touchdowns with 11. He and Ness were named Metro Athlete of the Week for their games against Buffalo and Apollo respectively, while Jacob Maddock was nominated for the honor for his 4-touchdown performance against the Blue Jackets. All three will be back next year, along with a number of other guys that made this season so much fun to watch.
Lots and lots of seniors, as can be expected from a football squad with such a large roster, but a lot of big names in there. Jackson Smith, the starter all year long. Hunter Allen, a starter all year long. Adams Totman, Logan Stockhausen played a bunch of receiver and was on special teams. You get saying about everybody.
Everybody
Hunter
on that
Thompson,
list,
Dominic
for the most part.
Ullman, Sean Sullivan, Mark Manders, all everyday starters. Reggie Davis, Lucas Taylor, Kingsley Freeman, Elijah Tabla, Edward Tabla. Both the Tabla boys had phenomenal years.
Yep.
Edward was more than impressive. Kevin Akula, Eric Onda, Mason Paxton, Griffin Tom, Nick Espinoza, Alberto Quesada, Trevor Albrecht, Brody Kellis, Nathan Caminati, Darius Oates, and Johnny Bootleg. Patrick.
Bootleg. I'm going to miss that name the most, I think, from those that group of graduating seniors.
What a fun year. But yeah, there's some big guys coming back for him. They should still be a lot of fun to watch next year.
And I know they've got some younger kids that certainly did not play varsity this year that are going to be contributing at the next level, that they've got a lot of good things to look forward to in this program. And you're right, it was a fun year. There are so many memorable moments that took place this year that, it's just going to stick in my head for quite a long time.
Well, Cummings Coleman, a special talent. We know of at least 3 Division I offers, but finishes top 10 in both receiving yards and touchdowns. Just a junior.
Well, and the first thing he told me when we went out to do the preview show was, "Wait till you see me on the basketball court." And so I told him, I said, "Let's just concentrate on football now." But I'm excited because that time of year is just about here.
I look forward to seeing him on the basketball court as well.
Well, the tennis team struggled this year, but it was a character-building and foundation-setting journey for the program. Despite going winless for the majority of the season, the Cardinals never gave up, and they continued to improve. And finally, at the end, they saw their hard work finally pay off.
The Cardinals knew from the onset that this was going to be a difficult year. They were young and lacked experience. They had a schedule loaded with top-tier teams. From their first tournament, the Cardinals found themselves on the court against some of the best squads in the state. The Cardinals endured several lopsided losses, but it didn't break their spirit. They battled every point of every set. They learned from their elite opponents, and they continued to improve every day and every match. By midseason, they were keeping closer with their opponents. Back-to-back 4-3 losses to Anoka and Irondale showed their progress and improved their morale. It took until the final week of the regular season, but the Cardinals finally got to feel some success. They closed out the schedule with a 5-2 win over Big Lake and followed that with a 5-2 win over Osseo in the conference crossover match. The wins gave the Cardinals some wind beneath their wings, put a smile on their faces, and gave them confidence and momentum going into the playoffs. They used it to flip the script on the Tornadoes, winning the 4-3 match when it mattered most. The team's season ended in the next round, and the individuals managed just a 1-4 record in the section tournament. Still, the Cardinals go away from the season with a sense of accomplishment and pride, and the knowledge that hard work eventually pays off. Expect them to be back next year, more experienced, and possibly even more committed to continually improving their game.
That's a lot of seniors for a tennis roster. Caminati, Nienaber, Scheck, Lillian Newton, Ariel Jaspers, Carly Hafferman, Mackenzie Yang. That whole side almost always on the court at the varsity level. Eliana Munson, Natalie Medina, Brianna Gonzalez, Libby Larson, Ashley Chung, and Jordan Beck. They do lose a lot.
They do.
They have a couple of players that will be back from this year's starting varsity, including their top singles player who's still just a sophomore, and Gabby really showed huge strides this season. So it'll be fun to see her for the next couple of years. But they need some of that next level talent to step up next year.
Yeah, I think, you talk to Coach Stork, I'm sure he'd say it was an interesting and challenging year for the tennis team. He went through the season and really never experiencing the record that he experienced this year. And so you lose that group of seniors, but you take that momentum from those younger players and hope you get some additional help down the roads for this program for next year.
I would think, if I were the coach, I would much rather have those 3 wins at the end than start with 3-0 and lose the rest of the way.
Absolutely.
Well, after a rough year on the court, the volleyball program goes into the offseason looking for a new leader. Head coach Janine Crooks announced her resignation a couple of weeks ago. She leaves after just 2 seasons behind the bench. Cardinals improved on their previous season's win total, so making another step towards being a contender.
The Cardinals entered the season with only a couple of girls that had proven themselves at the varsity level. And with the level of competition they faced night in and night out, they knew it would be an uphill climb.
Back line, Hoffman with an impressive kill.
The Cardinals were clearly outmatched in many of their contests, but they were never outworked. They battled for every point and tried to keep it close in every set. Cards picked up 1 win in the season-opening tournament, and by September 6th equaled their 2-win finish from 2021.
The Orioles able to get it across. Hoffman attacks, kills.
They scored 4 more wins before the season was out. Cardinals won 3 out of 4 in the St. Louis Park tournament, and then they beat Park Center for a second time this season in the conference crossover game. They will once again feel the sting of graduation, losing several starters who have been impact players for the program for the past couple of years. At the same time, they saw some outstanding improvement from their younger players, showing plenty of potential for the future. Coach Crooks brought a lot of positive energy to her position, and the players seemed to respond. In her resignation, she thanked everyone involved with the program and wished them well in the future. But unfortunately, this program, that has had several coaching changes in the recent years, will once again be looking for someone to lead them to the next level.
There are your seniors: Ada Drummy, Tyra Pavaseth, Kate Califoot, Haley Zhang, Haley Green, and Chloe Hoffman. And you could put Janine Crooks there at the end. I'm going to miss her. I will as well. She was very receptive whenever we reached out asking for information, and just always a big smile and a lot of positive energy. So definitely wish her the best in everything she decides to do.
Yeah, the best of luck to her, and thank her for her help that she's given us over the last couple of years. And again, they're back to finding somebody to lead the program, and they hope that they'll find somebody that will take this program, because it's going to be growing pains, I'm sure.
It's going to be difficult next year without that senior class, but they do have a lot of girls who got experience this year.
They certainly have. Well, the Cardinals soccer fans haven't had a lot to celebrate this season, as both boys and girls teams struggled their way through the season. Both teams were hit hard by graduation, and both have promising young players on the rise. But this year, neither team was able to find scoring, and both finished well below where they had hoped they would be.
The boys team lost one of the best scorers in school history, but they returned enough experience, and they expected to be a little more competitive than they were. Yaya Sadibi came into the season as a proven scorer, but he drew a ton of attention from opposing defenses every night, and it limited his production.
Here's an opportunity, maybe the best of the night for the Cardinals. A shot, a goal! Yaya Sadibi finally breaks through behind the defense.
The Cardinals managed just 7 goals all season. Coincidentally, 4 of them came in their one win, a 4-1 decision at the Tina Grace that was aired on CTN. I'm not saying we had anything to do with it, but our presence seemed to spark their offense.
Served right along the line, and a beautiful header to the back of the net.
The Cardinals were shut out 9 times and finished the season 1-11-2. They had a lot of underclassmen who played nearly every minute this year, so they will have plenty of experience when they return to the pitch next fall. The girls' team had a large senior class last season, and one of this year's senior captains tore her ACL in the opener, so they didn't have a lot of experience taking the field. The results were nearly identical to the boys' team. They managed 8 goals all season long, half of them coming in one win, which, believe it or not, was on CTN. This one was even more rare because the crew was there getting their always stellar coverage, but Joe and I were not able to attend. So perhaps it's not really our presence at all, but the truck and crew's presence that helps ignite the Cardinals. A 1-in-15 season in which the Cardinals were shut out a dozen times make positives hard to come by. But high school sports are often cyclical. So in time, the Cardinals will be back to compete and legitimately contend for conference and section titles.
Here's a look at the girls' seniors: Carrie Reiners, Sarah Forrest, Brooke Griffith, Lucy Wynn, and Emily Snicker. For the boys, Hassan Al-Hisnawi, Yaya Sidibe, Lionel Ba, and Peter Figueroa. And Yaya, gonna miss that name.
Yeah,
sure.
Yeah, miss him for sure, because what a dynamic soccer player he is, and the Cardinals,
a great name.
And a great name. And the Cardinals are going to miss his presence on the pitch next year.
Yeah, but the boys team in a much better position. They have almost everyone. I mean, a handful of guys, and Yaya a big part of it. But they retain more than they lose. The girls also, I mean, losing Lucy in game one, and then they had a couple of other injuries that limited players throughout. They had a couple season-ending injuries, so they were kind of bit by a lot of bad luck this year. They do also have some talent coming back. I don't think quite as much as the boys, but obviously some work to be done on both squads to get back where they know they can be.
Yeah, and if you talk to both coaches, I'm sure they would say it was a frustrating year for both teams. And obviously you've got a lot of room to grow, and they're both hoping to look for that for next season to grow and go in that positive direction.
Well, we hope to be here for them next fall. We know we'll be here next week when we get back to girls hockey action on Tuesday. The Bluebirds taking on the Centennial Cougars. Our first look at the boys hockey team on Saturday the 26th. Cardinals hosting Rocori, and we'll see them again against the Packers from South St. Paul on Tuesday the 29th. But that's going to do it for this edition of Sports Night. I want to thank everybody out there for joining us and continuing to support everything we do here at CTN. For Neil Highlights Hennon, putting it all together on the back end, and my partner Howie Shapiro, I'm Joe Young, saying it's a good day to be a Cardinal.